Hello, 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 hello.
Was an air warrior. That's why he cares so much for the armed forces personnel.
I obviously am a son of a veteran. My father was in the Air Force, and I've grown up all my life around veterans and people who served in the armed forces. Priya, I have been involved in one rank, one pension as a concept and as issue for about 9 years.
He is a votary of free speech and governance. He opened his heart and is
Henry Ford once said, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is a progress, and working together is a success. It is this mantra that has brought us where we are today. A very good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to the program on interaction with students by Sri Rajiv Chandrashekar, Honorable Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. Let's begin the program by seeking the blessings of the heavens. Kindly rise for a silent prayer. Please be seated. May I invite Father John Burgess, the captain of our flagship, Bursar MBCT, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, everybody. His Beatitude, more and more Basilius Cardinal Clemens Catholicos, the Major Archbishop of Trivandrum, the patron and manager of our college, Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Rajiv Chandrashekar, Principal Dr. Abraham D. Matthew, Indian Unnati Lab Coordinator, Vice Principal, HODs, Deans, Professors, media persons, my dear students. In its 76th year of independence, India has evolved as a power which no world country can ignore. India enjoys the sixth position among the countries with highest GDP. It is estimated that our country will be the world's third largest economy by 2030. A powerful economy and a strong democracy make India unique with its strong agricultural sector. India is surging ahead in the areas of science and technology and human resource. The Government of India launched in 2015 the Digital India mission to transform India into a digitally empowered society and a knowledge economy, a knowledge society. Its objective was to connect rural areas with high-speed internet networks and improve digital literacy, realizing that the future of India is in their hands. This program itself is an example for that. And we have the apt person as the chief guest with us today to interact with the young minds of MBCET. It is none other than Dr. Rajiv Chandrashekar, Honorable Minister of State for Human Development and Entrepreneurship and Electronics and Information Technology of India. Dr. Rajiv Chandrashekar had his post-graduation in computer science from Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago. He did management programs at the Harvard University and Intel University. He has been conferred with the Doctor of Science degree by the Visvesvaraya Technological University. Dr. Rajiv's work focuses on transforming India through governance and economic reforms, armed forces issues and child protection. 2013, he launched ASK, an online campaign to give citizens an avenue to directly get their voices heard in the parliament. In 2014, his fight for armed force voting rights found victory with the Supreme Court granting armed forces the right to vote. Many other significant achievements are there, which I failed to mention for want of time. Sri Rajiv Chandrashekar is recognized as the most informed person on digital India, internet and technology issues, net neutrality, spectrum allocation, consumer rights in cyberspace policies, and regulatory matters. He has focused on a wide array of macroeconomic and microeconomic issues, which include public sector bank creating transparency in the management of public areas, public assets. I'm sure our students will definitely benefit from the interaction with this dynamic and enterprising statesman. Sir, on behalf of the MBCT family, especially on behalf of our patron, His Beatitude Moranmor Basilios Cardinal Clemis Catholicos, let me extend the most cordial welcome to this program. Also extend a cordial welcome to the officials here accompanying the minister. Started in 2002 with 240 students, our college now has a strength of 2,000 students. We have 7 BTech programs and 7 MTech programs. The far-sighted vision of the founder of the Marivanios Vidyanagar, servant of God Marivanios, has been implemented with a futuristic vision by the founder of our college, His Beatitude Moranmor Cyril Basilios, Major Archbishop Catholicos. It was the ardent desire of His Beatitude to provide quality technical education based on human values, which led to the establishment of this college. Technical skill combined with the human values is what makes MBCT unique. And this vision has been further developed to suit the needs of the times by our patron, His Beatitude Moranmor Basilios Cardinal Clemis Catholicos, the Major Archbishop of Trivandrum, as a blending of the philosophy of education and apostolate of human resource development. His Beatitude is the president of the Kerala Catholic Bishops' Conference. He is a powerful presence in the political, cultural, social, and religious fields of Kerala and also of the nation. His Beatitude has been showing a keen interest in the functioning of the college and has been giving guidance for the development of the college in spite of his busy schedule. His Beatitude found time to preside over the function. Let me wholeheartedly welcome His Beatitude Basilios Cardinal Clemis Catholicos to this function on behalf of all gathered here. We are privileged to have Mr. Sumit Verma, Director, Strategic Initiatives, Intel India Corporation with us today to give the felicitory address. I extend a very cordial welcome to Sri Sumit Verma on behalf of the MBCT campus community. I also welcome our principal, Dr. Abraham D. Matthew, who is with us for his efforts to ensure the quality of education imparted in our institution. I also welcome all those who are gathered here, especially our deans, HODs, professors, the staff of the college, students, media persons, and especially our Assistant Bursar, Reverend Father Thomas Mugulambaratha, and also all those who are here. Thank you and God bless you all.
Thank you, Father. We are indeed honored to have in our midst His Beatitude, More and More Basilius, Cardinal Clemis Catholicos, Major Archbishop Catholicos, Syro Malangara Catholic Church, President, Kerala Catholic Bishops' Council. On this auspicious occasion, I humbly invite His Beatitude for the presidential address.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Our esteemed guest of the day, Honorable Minister Rajiv Chandrashekar, Principal Sri Abraham T. Matthew, Mr. Sumit Verma, Father John Varghese, respected members of the faculty, respected friends of the colleges, and dear students. We are really privileged to have the gracious presence of Sri Rajiv Chandrashekar, the Honorable Minister for IT. In fact, we have been looking for such a gracious occasion to interact with him. And he has been kind enough to offer us this particular day, as he is in the city, to meet various needs, also to address us in Mar Basilius College of Engineering and Technology. We are really glad that we have such efficient and visionary minister who can speak Malayalam, who is a Malayali himself. കേന്ദ്രമന്ത്രിമാർ മലയാളം സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് വളരെ കുറവാണ്. നമ്മെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടുകാരൻ IT ഫീൽഡിൽ നമ്മളോട് സംവദിക്കുന്നതിനും രാജ്യത്തിൻ്റെ ദിശാബോധം നൽകുന്നതിനും സാധിക്കുന്നത് വളരെ സന്തോഷകരമായ അനുഭവമാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ബഹുമാന്യനായ മന്ത്രിയുടെ സാന്നിധ്യം, ശ്രീ രാജീവ് ചന്ദ്രശേഖറിൻ്റെ സാന്നിധ്യം നമുക്ക് സന്തോഷം പകരുന്നു. Today is his day. I don't want to steal a minute from his precious time. He is here to talk to you, interact with you, and of course I am sure you will benefit from his interactions with you, so that we can build up a nation with self-esteem, a nation with realistic sense of development, including everyone, without alienating anyone on the basis of human-made barriers, including faith and morals. Wish you a pleasant time with our minister, and may God bless this particular institute, which is dedicated for imparting quality education to those who aspire to be in the field of science and technology. Respectfully greeting our esteemed team of teachers who are dedicated to the cause of education, I place before you a gracious time with a visionary in the person of Rajiv Chandrashekar. Thank you. God bless you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Your Beatitude. Today, we have in our midst Mr. Sumit Verma, Director, Strategy at Intel India. He leads key external alliances in space of innovation, research, business enablement, and strengthen strategic engagements in priority technology areas like AI, IoT, 5G, etc. for Indolent India. He collaborates with governments, industry associations, academia, incubators, and the bright young innovators in the country, and leads key initiatives like Design in India, promoting women in technology, innovation in India tech ecosystem, and grand research for Intel India. He is a member of several Indian government and industry committees on innovation, entrepreneurship, and education. Mr. Sumit has over 2 decades of industry experience and is an alumni of IIIT Bangalore and Harvard Business School. I invite Mr. Sumit Verma to felicitate the gathering.
Good afternoon, everyone. In cricket, when a bowler is asked to open in front of Sachin Tendulkar, right, ahead of Sachin Tendulkar, it's the same feeling that I am getting now. Everyone's here to listen to Shri Rajiv ji's vision and what changes he'd like to make in skills and education. But since I've been asked, I will just maybe bat for 2-3 balls and then quickly get away and let him, the star of today, to take the rest of the time. But I'd like to quickly highlight from an industry perspective why Unnati labs or labs like these are important. One of the dilemma that students of today or employees of today are having is that, oh, our jobs are going to be taken away with AI, our jobs are going to be taken away because of technologies. And then there are reports that suggest that 13-14% of jobs that exist today will no longer be existing by end of the decades, and the fear becomes even more fearful, right? But then there are a lot of other reports that help out and say there are at least, if not the same, almost same number of jobs that has to be created that we don't even know what those jobs will look like today, right? Some skills we know that will be required in future, while there are some skills that we don't even know what will be required, we just have some idea about it, right? And as India is progressing under the leadership of our current government, the number of technical jobs that are required are going to be even more, right? If we look into software and services, if today in India about 50 to 60 lakhs job exist in software and services space, in next 10 years it's expected to be 1.2 crores. That's almost double. Same if we take an example of VLSI, because VLSI is very core to what Shri Rajiv ji does. In next 10 years, the number of VLSI jobs that India will require will be 3 times more than we have the VLSI engineers in jobs today. So where will all these jobs come from? Although there are 100, 200 colleges in India that are responsible for maximum of these jobs, in next 10 years, the India tech ecosystem which will fuel these jobs, these have to come from the middle tier of education institutions, institutions like yours. Your institution and several other institutions have to participate and provide students and skills. Only then the India tech ecosystem will be able to achieve the level that the government and the country want it to be. With that, I'm extremely thankful of having me here, and I congratulate the staff, faculties, and the administration of the college on today's milestone. And from Intel side, I offer my support and wish you all the very best for not only this lab, but ensuring that the students make a landmark impact in India and abroad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are indeed privileged to have with us Sri Rajiv Chandrashekar, Honorable Minister of State. He is the Union Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Electronics and Information Technology. He has a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Manipal, a master's in computer science from Illinois Tech, Chicago, and attended other programs at Harvard and Stanford universities. He is a recipient of honorary doctorate in science from VTU and of distinguished alumni awards from MIT, Manipal, and Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago. He has been a senior design engineer and CPU architect at Intel in Silicon Valley and worked on the 80486 microprocessors and Pentium chips. He returned to India and turned into an entrepreneur who built India's first and largest cellular network. He created the first unicorn before the phrase unicorn was ever known, and then as an investor has built several ventures with global investors. He joined politics in 2006 and has been active in public life for 17 years and is focused on tech, economy, and governance. He is recognized as one of India's leading minds on all things tech and is currently a minister in the Narendra Modi government. He is focused on implementing Honorable Prime Minister's vision of Digital India by expanding and deepening India's tech and innovation economy, developing India as a global talent and entrepreneurship hub. I humbly invite Honorable Minister for a presentation on New India for Young India, Decade of Opportunities.
His Beatitude, Cardinal Clemis Catholicos, Mr. Sumit Verma from Intel, Father Abraham Matthew, Principal, and all the students here. Ellavarikkum Namaskaram. Good afternoon. I'll put a question to all of you. Here students, how many of you think of your future? Raise your hands. No, very few. How many of you think that you should be involved in deciding your future? Okay, Sherry. Okay, Sherry. So at least about 70% of you are thinking about your future, and about 75% of you think you should be involved in a discussion about your future. I have come here to talk about your future. I have come here to share my ideas of what the future looks like. I remember a little bit, I want to just start by saying, after I have become minister on July 7th, 2021, after Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji gave me this opportunity to serve, I have visited today, you are my 56th college. It's okay. Interaction. I'll keep it here. And it is an absolute privilege and a pleasure for me to interact with students from all over the country. And my main message is, there is a new India being built, and this new India is an India that is for young Indians. And it is an India full of opportunities. The next decade, the next 10 years, is a decade of technology opportunities, and therefore we call it a decade of opportunities. Adil vendadu skill and digital. These are the two important pillars that will transform your future prospects in this new India. Little bit about my background. At that age, I should stop putting the year You all think Bangara Vaisayalana, but that is how old I am, and that is my house in Kondayur, Kerala. Deshamangaladuthu, it's very close to Shornur. So I am as Malayali as all of you. I went to school in St. Paul's High School, Kuriachara. I was mentioning that today. Somewhere there you can see me. I had the privilege of going back to the school after almost 45 years recently, and had the pleasure of meeting the corner in the childhood days, two ladies who were caregivers, and they came back all the way to see me. It was a very emotional moment. This is my journey. Many years ago, I was very similar to you, sitting and studying in an engineering college, and my journey has been my journey. I did my master's. I went and worked in the Silicon Valley at Intel. I came back to India, started a mobile company, and then for the last 17 years, I'm in public life. And on 7th of July 2021, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji gave me this opportunity to serve. You can see the beard was darker, the hair was darker. 2 years of a minister, and things are where we are today. Now, my main topic of today's discussion is this, and this is the proposition I want to give to all of you. That India today is not the India that we grew up as children or youngsters. I say this in every college, you are the luckiest generation of youth, luckiest generation of students in the history of independent India. India is today at an inflection point, and we are living today in the most exciting point in the history of modern India. I'll explain to you why. If you go back home today and ask your parents, and I'm sure many of the professors here and teachers will agree with me, at a time when I was a student, we had very little opportunities, very few opportunities, and there was a certain narrative about India for the rest of the world, and a certain narrative about India. The biggest narrative about India was it was a great country, good people, large population, but even the system will never work. Government was dysfunctional, and as a result of this narrative, our country, there was one country in the north of us called China. They would argue that democracy would never work in Asia and that democracy will never deliver for the people. ഇതിനൊരു പണ്ടൊരു നരേറ്റീവ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ലേറ്റ് 80s പ്രൈം മിനിസ്റ്റർ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻ്റാണ് ഞാൻ കോട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. India is a country where when 100 rupees leaves Delhi for the benefit of its people, 15 rupees reaches the person, 85 rupees gets lost. Lost no varna, somebody eats it up. And that narrative was used to paint democracies as being dysfunctional. That the Indian governance system was dysfunctional, leaky, corrupt. And for many years, almost 2 decades, China, a country to the north with an authoritarian regime, argued the case that in Asia, democracies will fail. That's one narrative. The narrative was, and this you can certainly ask some elders, when we finished college, ഞങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള opportunities were very limited. You joined government, ഒന്നോ രണ്ടോ വലിയ private companies ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, Modi, Tata, you got a job there, you did higher education, or if you were lucky, you went abroad. That was the only opportunity. That is the second narrative. Third narrative, even if you were a young enterprising person, You had an idea, you wanted to start a business. അതിന് കാശ് കിട്ടാൻ it was an absolute impossibility because 98% of the banking system's net worth in India was borrowed only by 9 families. Idellam what I am telling you is this was the old India, because when I say new India for young India, for the first question people ask is idu endha sadhana new India, what is old India? So old India was this, and the new India is what you are living in. This is what we used to hear in the past: leaky democracy. What is the new India we are living in today? Our same 100 rupees that leaves Delhi or Tirunelveli or Hyderabad for the people, that 100 rupees today reaches the beneficiary's account, citizen's account, no leakage, no corruption, no intermediation. This is the same India, same Indians, same democracy, but no longer dysfunctional. It is becoming a beacon to countries around the world. Day before yesterday, I was in Pune. Pune is a global DPI summit. 18 countries representatives came from all over the world to learn from India how to use technology to improve governance, how to use technology to improve service delivery for people. This is the new India. I will not tell you all the points, but certainly I want to tell you that in terms of opportunities today for a young Indian setting out to join the workforce, to start his life or her life, you have huge opportunities. Pandas, it used to be, like I said, very limited opportunities, and today you can be in space, you can be in technology, you can be in chip design, you can be in IT, you can be in entrepreneurship, in AI, startups. You can work with some of the leading multinational companies. The opportunities are endless and limitless, but they all require good education and skills. There's one more point I want to make here. Again, comparison to old India. You are not limited by who your father is, who your godfather is, whether you are belonging to a rich family. If you want to start a business, if you want to start a company and a startup, and as you can see today, 108 unicorns, almost 1 lakh startups, all first generation, no handouts, no connections, no political godfather. They have all managed to raise money and build businesses that are world class. That's new India. I want to again just briefly touch on an issue of COVID. You are students and you understand the concept of exams. COVID, if you look at COVID as an examination, a rigorous examination that all the countries and all the people had to go through at the same time, 2020 February to 2022. All countries, all people have to go through one challenge of dealing with this unknown disease, a disease that came from somewhere, afflicted millions of people, and nobody knew what the cure was, nobody knew how long it will last. ആ എക്സാം കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു റിപ്പോർട്ട് കാർഡ് നോക്കിയാൽ which country has done what, which country has fared how much. Let us take a look at countries around the world. Look at US. After COVID, their economy continues to be vulnerable, very weak, and almost going into recession. Banks are failing in the US. In the US, Silicon Valley Bank, Republic Bank, they're all being liquidated. And even now, they have not managed to vaccinate their entire population. Go to China, so-called superpower, 5th lockdown, 6th lockdown. Even today, they are struggling to get their economy back in action. Go to UK. Once upon a time, this colonial power, the UK pound was seen to be like gold.
It is now a country which is running rampant double-digit inflation. The pound has devalued sharply, and it is an economy in distress. ഇതെല്ലാം നോക്കുമ്പോൾ, look at India. And in this COVID examination, I share with you that India and Indians together have passed the examination not just with flying colors, but have come first in this examination. We have vaccinated 220 crore vaccinations made in India. We are the fastest growing economy post-COVID. We have received the highest amount of investment from compared to any country in the world. And during these 2 years when the rest of the world was suffering and their economy was contracting, we were creating startups at a rate faster than any other country in the world. And all this was because of the work and effort that had been gone into the years before COVID. So today, we can safely say, Australia പോയിട്ട് Prime Minister പോകുമ്പോൾ Joe Biden പറയുന്നു, can I get your autograph? Prime Minister Albanese പറയുന്നു, you are the big boss. That is a recognition of how India performed and how Indians performed during and after the COVID pandemic. Why I say you are the luckiest generation amongst students and youth in the history of independent India. Because you are a generation of students when India's global stature, India's economy is on the rise like never before. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി 242 million vaccines supplied to the world, 220 crore vaccines delivered in India, fastest growing GDP, and the highest ever FDI and exports ever in the world, ever in the history. You're all students, first year students I'm told, so you still remember a little bit of math, even though you're studying engineering. Let me show you some data. In 2014, we were the 12th largest economy in the world. And today we are the 5th largest economy in the world. In real terms, we have crossed UK, and ahead of us is Germany and Japan, and then US and China. In the next 4 years, 2 to 4 years, we will certainly cross Germany and Japan, and we'll become the 3rd largest economy in the world. That is the progress that we are seeing economy-wise. I told you already, highest FDI amongst any country in the world, exponential growth in innovation. This is truly a sign of how young Indians are performing and contributing to India's growth. Number, it has changed. That number is about 110,000 is the number of startups today, and unicorns have crossed 110 unicorns. Internet, just 8-9 years ago, India was the largest unconnected country in the world. We had the largest population of people who did not have access to the internet. You all have internet, and we are at 86 crore people connected to the internet, and by 24-25, just in a year and a half's time, we will be 120 crore people connected to the internet. So 1.2 billion Indians will be connected to the internet, making us today and in 24 the largest connected nation on the global internet. Digitization of our economy, we are the highest digital transactions amongst any country in the world, including we are higher than US. This I want to share certainly with you, because all of you are major fans of mobile phones. 2014, phone, all of you have a phone. 82% of mobile phones were imported. That imported in China, USA. In 100% of all mobile phones, what mobile phones you have, where you're using for your Instagram or your Snapchat or your Reels, 100% of those mobile phones are made in India. And most importantly, this year we have exported 1 lakh crores of Apple phones and Samsung phones made in India to the US, to Europe, to Middle East, and to the Far East. As I told you, this is how this category of products, which is the fastest growing electronics product in the world, India is becoming a large player. And this is what is happening. When I say opportunities, 2014 technology ne patti opportunity parayumbo we would think I want a job in Infosys, I want a job in TCS, I want to be a software programmer. IT and ITES were the only opportunities in technology. Today, there is not one place or one activity in technology that India and Indians are not part of. Are AI ano, semiconductor ano, electronics design ano, electronics manufacturing ano, semiconductor manufacturing ano, so high performance computing, blockchain, Web3, every aspect of technology today, India is present, Indian engineers are present, Indian startups are present, global majors like Intel, AMD, TI, all have large R&D centers in India, and it is a fact that young Indians today have unprecedented opportunities. These are just more examples of how we are growing in these areas. I want to certainly share a thought about 5G and mobile telephony. I don't know how many of you are, remember, of course you will not remember, you are too young. But some years ago, I started the first cellular company in Kerala. 97 when I started the first cellular company in Kerala, everything was imported. And a screwdriver and screw also was imported. In the 5G launch, 5G network, there is a huge amount of Indian designed products, Indian designed content, and Indian designed technology that is now being built in the 5G networks. That means the future networks have increasingly more and more Indian content. Digital India, what is this Digital India? What is it doing? As I told you earlier, it is transforming citizens' lives through DPI. I told you about how people are able to get money from the government, transact without leakage, without corruption, without delay. Digital India's second goal was to expand the economy, create more and more startup opportunities for our young Indians. And third is that India should move from being a consumer of technologies. 30-40 kollam, India used to buy technology from outside and buy all the products from outside. That India should become a producer of technology, a designer of devices and products and solutions. That is the 3 goals, and all 3 goals we are succeeding tremendously. To students who want to see an example, recently, I think it was about 6-8 months ago, I was in Kochi. Prime Minister launched a new battleship called INS Vikrant. And most people say, oh, that's a ship. So what is the big thing about building a ship? No. INS Vikrant represents 2 very, very significant things for students and for you to know, especially those who are in mechanical, civil, technology, those fields. INS Vikrant represents a capability of mega engineering that very few countries have. Mega engineering, mega structural engineering. INS Vikrant also represents microelectronics, sensors of the cutting edge technology kind. So in both these areas, deployed on a platform like INS Vikrant, this is a symbol of how much capability India has created and how much capacity India has in these 2 areas of mega engineering and microelectronics.
Many vaccines being produced in countries.
sorry.
Many vaccines being produced in countries around the world, but there's only one. Many vaccines being produced in countries around the world, but there's only one country that has the manufacturing capacity to produce sufficient quantities to satisfy the demand of citizens in every country, and that's India.
The production capacity of India is one of the best assets the world has today, and I hope the world understands that it must be fully used.
Okay, I think it was not very clear, but anyway, what these two people are saying, one is an Australian and one is a United Nations Secretary General, talking about India's capabilities and how important it is for the world. And let me share some more people who are looking at it from the outside talking about India. Pat Gelsinger, who is Mr. Verma's boss at Intel, he says, he came in March 2022 to India and he met the Prime Minister, he met me, and he said, I'm deeply optimistic about the coming years for India. Bob Sternfels is a managing director of McKinsey. You know McKinsey is a very, very reputed firm. He said, no, it is not India's decade, it is India's century. Michael Spence is a Nobel Prize winner, economist, one of the very, very respected economists in the world. And he says, the global economy is undergoing a regime change. India is the outstanding performer now. Jim O'Neill says no other country has a chance of doing what India can do in the next 10 to 15 years. UAE's minister, he's the digital minister of UAE, says the future of technology will have the Indian fingerprint on everything and everywhere. And he said recently in a press conference when I was sitting with him, he said India has created its own path that others are following. I am putting all this there because you will see my presentation and you'll say, his job is to give a presentation. So in addition, I want you to see what the world is thinking about where we are going. These are all very reputed people, great minds, and they have all concluded that the future of India, the future that is yours, is an extremely strong and bright future. So what is it, and let's summarize, what is it that is relevant for you? Opportunities for the youth. There are so many different opportunities. But I repeat again, those opportunities are not automatic. It is a very competitive world. Those who study hard, those who skill hard, those who work hard are going to be tremendously successful. There is a new national education policy that makes skilling part of the curriculum from the school system. Skilling is a very, very important part for anybody who's in college. I always say, and I say to you today, take it as free advice. I won't charge you for it. That it is not enough to have a degree. You must have some skills when you leave college. And India is on its way to becoming a semiconductor nation. As I said, the decade of opportunities is also about manufacturing. There's tremendous amount of opportunities in design and manufacturing in electronics, microelectronics, artificial intelligence, digitalization of government, space. I'll just give you one example, space in a pity. March 2022, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji opened up space. Said either private companies can also compete in space. March 2022. In May 2022, I was invited to inaugurate a space startup seminar in Bangalore. 138 startups had been created in space sector alone by students, by graduates, by other people in 2 months alone in Bengaluru and the rest of the country. Decade of opportunities for defense, security, cutting edge technologies are required there. And this story I certainly want to share, especially with the young lady students today. in the government of India, ഞങ്ങൾ ഒരു program നടത്തി 2021-2022. 1,000 students from government schools all around the country. ഒരു 3 മാസം AI programming we taught them. And then we said there will be a contest, and the best students who get the best program will be given an award. Remember this name. This girl is from a small town in Uttar Pradesh, a government school, 9th standard girl, Nandini Kushwaha. She did an AI program, and AI program is not a very easy coding, it is very sophisticated, deep coding. A 9th standard girl with no family background in computers did an AI program that could take an image of a plant on the phone, and the program would throw out what the plant is deficient in: water, light, phosphorus, urea, potassium. It would throw out this input. So I met her, she came to Delhi, I gave her a prize, and I asked her, what does your father do? Father was a farmer. Idendina Chaitada, why did you do this? Why you don't have any computer background? I did this because I have seen my father struggling for many, many years, trying to understand what is wrong with the crop, and sometimes getting it right and sometimes getting it wrong. So when I learned AI, I thought I should do a program that can predict it properly. This is the future of innovation, that at 9th standard and 10th standard, our children, our young Indians are today beginning to get the capability to do this type of deep tech coding. And I'm saying you should remember, because I am very sure she is going to become a star in AI sometime in the coming years, and I'm certainly keeping track of her. India leads digital. ഇതാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇന്നത്തെ situation in the world. Digital is leading India, which means that 2014 the digital economy was 4% of the GDP. Inna it is 10% of the GDP, and 26 it will be 20% of the GDP. You are the ones who can lead digital India. You are the youngest, you are the young generation, and you are the luckiest generation that I was talking about. This is the vision: empowerment, skills, making skill training aspirational, digital skilling, and making India a global talent and skills hub. There's a lot of work going on in skills, and I always tell in every college to every student, you may graduate with an undergraduate degree in computer science, electrical engineering, civil engineering, but please do some skill certification programs that make you much more employable and much more ready to enter the entrepreneurship space. As I said to you, there is not any area in technology anymore that India is not present in. Just 5, 7, 8 years ago, we were only in IT, ITES. Today, the entire spectrum of technology opportunities, quantum, high performance computing, AI, cyber security, metaverse, semiconductor, the Web3, cloud, industry 4.0, all of these areas are areas for you to succeed in if you are interested. I will end. I have, I think, just 2 more slides left. This is something you should be aware of. We are on a strong path. We are a country that is now moving from number 5 economy to number 3 economy. We are, for the first time in the history of India, especially for you all, you can think of a future where India is a developed nation, not anymore a developing nation. A strong leadership means strong economy, and strong economy means strong country. Strong country means strong opportunities for you. This is my point. We are building, Prime Minister is building, we are all building a new India for young India with reimagined ambitions. We no longer want to think of ourselves as a developing nation. We no longer want to think of ourselves as a country that depends on other countries for our technology requirements. We are today a country that is confident, moving forward, and that moving forward will be undertaken by all of you. This is my last slide. If you have any reason to get in touch with me, if you want to share your ideas and thoughts, this is my website, this is my place where you can connect. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and if you like to have conversations about the future, on the future of India, future of your careers, I am more than happy to do so. Thank you for your time. I know I took about 30 minutes. Thank you for being patient. I hope it was worth your time. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Now, we will have an interactive session with the Honorable Minister. Students, this is your chance to clear your doubts and interact with the Minister.
Sir, I'm Anand from Computer Science Department, and my question for you is, the world around us is full of patterns, and in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to look at these patterns and think ahead. So, sir, as a successful entrepreneur, what are your insights on the same?
No, what I didn't get the first part. What successful?
So the world around us.
Check.
So the world around us is full of patterns, and in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to look at these patterns, observe them, and then think ahead. So, sir, as a successful entrepreneur yourself, what are your insights on the same, sir?
So my suggestion, this is my suggestion only, don't look at patterns and decide your future. What you see in a pattern may be very different from what you see somebody else sees in a pattern. Whatever is instinctively you are good at, you should pursue that path. Now, the reason I say this is, a lot of youngsters make a mistake in thinking that entrepreneurship is just about wanting to be a startup. It is not just about being a startup. You have to be very good at something to have a successful startup. So my advice is that don't overthink it. Certainly don't have 20 people advising you on what the patterns are. What you are very good at, or what you can be very good at, or what you can read and become very good at. Focus on those areas and think of an idea there. But science, there is no science, there is no way of predicting what are the sweet spots in entrepreneurship and what is not. And I suggest to anybody who's really excited by this, read a few books about people who built companies. For example, if you want to read a book called Plex, is the story of Google and how Google was built from a simple idea into something so huge. So I think like that. But you should certainly know that you have to be very good or very well informed in the area that you want to get into.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Heba from EC department. My question is, if implemented, IoT would be a major breakthrough in the field of healthcare. So what do you think is the future of IoT in the coming years?
Look, This is actually, there's a 2-day answer to this question and then there's a shorter version. What is happening is that the internet, which is the backbone of any innovation, is becoming much more complex. With 5G, it is the 5th generation of man-to-man or woman-to-woman communication, but is the first generation of machine-to-machine. And IoTs are going to increase the complexity of the internet in many, many different ways. As sensors become more intelligent, then you have artificial intelligence on the edge of the internet. So I can only tell you that this is going to become extremely exciting area for people to work in. It is not going to be easier, and certainly it is not an area that is going to make life easier for people in government in terms of regulating the internet. We are entering into a phase where the internet is undergoing a structural change from Web 2 to Web 3, and on the other hand, the complexity of participants on the internet, which used to be only people, you and me would be on the internet and we would be the only ones on the internet with a particular data server that we are using for the cloud. But now there are going to be all these intelligent IOMTs, IoTs, whatever you want to call it, that is going to increase the complexity. So, full of potential, full of many, many challenging opportunities, but also not as easy to program for or design for as in the past.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Abhinav from Computer Science Department. Artificial intelligence and automation is transforming so much of industries. So could you tell us some ideas of what the government is going to do to promote the workforce for upskilling and reframing the future students?
So, artificial intelligence is the latest buzzword, you know, ChatGPT. It's become also a fashionable thing now. I'll give you the common sense and the bare bones assessment of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence today is certainly going to disrupt the world of technology. 15 years ago or 20 years ago, the internet disrupted the world of technology. The artificial intelligence is going to disrupt it even deeper, even more significantly. But there are a lot of people saying, oh, you pedikanam, we are going to do this, nothing is going to happen. You should not worry about that for the next 4 or 5 years. Because artificial intelligence today is still task-oriented. It makes certain tasks easier to do, some tasks more efficient to do, and some certain tasks much more higher quality to do. Human reasoning, mimicking human behavior, this is all going to be a little bit more transformational and it is down the road. What Government of India is doing is making sure that we are providing skilling opportunities and upskilling and reskilling opportunities to those who are already software programmers and skilling opportunities who are entering the space. And I recommend that you should know something about AI. Either you should have the ability to work with ChatGPT or other large language models, or you should be able to program AI models and know Python and other programming languages. But AI, if you are a computer science major, which you are, your life is going to be dominated by, and your life in a lot of ways is going to be decided by, your success is going to be decided by how much AI skills you have. So you should have your electives, you should do your certification courses in Python programming, you should learn how to use a ChatGPT model, maybe have a project of having plugins for ChatGPT. But certainly computer science in this new generation of students is going to be heavily dominated by AI.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Nandana and I'm from Computer Science Department. And my question for you is, hate speeches are increasing day by day, and I think internet is one of the main sources. What do you think about it? Don't you think that it is being misused? And I would also like to know what are your thoughts on internet freedom?
Good question, very good question. Look, for many, many years, the conversations about the internet was that internet was a force of good. It connected people, it helped exchanging ideas. But over the last 5-7 years, the internet has also become a place of bad. What we call technically user harm, criminality, misinformation, incitement, doxing, gaslighting, you know all of these things. So the government's view on this and our Prime Minister's view is that the internet should always be open. That means it should be free from anybody's control. It should be open. And free from control means it should not be controlled by government, it should not be controlled by Amazon, it should not be controlled by Google, it should not be controlled by Facebook. Nobody. Second is that the internet should be safe and trusted. Why this is important, I'll tell you, is that in India now, by 25, 26, 120 crore Indians will use the internet. And adile, old people are there, youngsters are there using for education, youth are there like you who are students, there are men, there are women, they are digitally literate, there are digitally illiterate people using it. So we want the internet to be safe. Nobody should fear anybody, nobody should distrust anything on the internet. So we are making a lot of rules and regulations, and over the last 2 years we have made a lot of progress. You are seeing less and less of doxing, less and less of gaslighting, less and less of child sexual abuse material, pornography, all that has come down considerably because we are making platforms accountable for the content on them. That is the basic model. And we are doing this without compromising the freedom of the internet. And I will share, since you asked the question, let me share this story with you. In 2010, there was an effort by our famous northern neighbor China to move internet regulation from ICANN, which is a non-profit company in the US, to the United Nations controlled by governments. And then our government then, Indian government also agreed. So the model would have been some 10 or 20 bureaucrats sitting in Geneva and controlling the internet and deciding what internet you have and what internet I have. Fortunately for you, I was in Parliament that time. I'm sorry to take credit for it, but since you asked me, let me take some credit. We fought that, and India withdrew from that in 2014 after Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji became Prime Minister. And so the internet today is free, is open, and therefore no government, nobody can influence it or control it.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm Yash from Electrical Department. As government reopened the semiconductor companies to establish or start manufacturing in India, my question is that as government is going to use EIA draft 2020 in selection process or not? Or EIA draft 2020 is going to be neglected? Like EIA draft Environment Impact Assessment 2020.
Wow, that's a heavy question. What environmental impact assessment? Look, fabs today, semiconductor manufacturing means fabs. Fabs follow a very standard template around the world in terms of water, gases, pollution, sustainability. So whatever fab comes in today, we will basically go by the European Union and the US restrictions on sustainability because these are technologies that are going to be imported from outside. The manufacturing technology for a fab, India does not have. It will come in with a 40 nanometer fab or a 28 nanometer fab with the technology partner. So let us assume for a minute that the technology partner is a European company, that the environment and sustainability and the green criteria will be that is followed in Europe. And they have fairly strict emissions and pollution control standards. And so therefore we will not necessarily regulate ab initio in India unless there is something that we think is absolutely necessary.
Check, hello. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm Devdutt from EC department. Sir, recently you had mentioned that the government will be banning 3 types of games. Sir, could you tell us what are the parameters which classify whether a game should be banned or not?
Look, so gaming is again a very fast growing activity on the internet. There is social media, there is all of that you are already aware of. Gaming is the other area that is becoming very, very rapidly exploding the internet. For the first time, we have attempted to regulate gaming. And we have created a new set of IT rules that create a framework for gaming. Because we want to do 2 things. Indian gaming industry and startups in gaming we want to encourage. But we certainly don't want bad gaming to continue to proliferate. So on 3 aspects, we are going to not allow gaming. If there is betting involved, that means betting. Second, if there is any user harm involved. There are many games that are very hostile to women gamers. There are many games that have religious content in them. There are many games that have abusive content targeting children. So any game that has user harm, no. Any game that is betting, no. And any game that is addictive. And this is an input we have got from teachers and school teachers and parents from around the country, that any game that is addictive, that encourages children or youth to game for more than a certain hours a day, no. So that is our starting framework for gaming. But it encourages more and more startups to gamify any story you have, any scenario you have in India, and you can create online games, competitions, all that, no problem. But betting, user harm, and addictive conduct behavior, not on Indian internet.
Good evening, sir. I am Vaishnav from EC department, electronics department. So my question to you, sir, is that what steps has the government of India taken to increase India's presence in the semiconductor manufacturing industry, comparing there is a lack of Indian companies' presence there, but considering that it is a very capital-intensive industry?
No, look, so in December 2021, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji allotted 76,000 crores to develop semiconductor ecosystem. The semiconductor ecosystem has 3 things. One is design, the second is packaging, the third is manufacture, and there is a 4th element which is research. We'll talk about that a little later. In design, we are moving far ahead. Just a few years ago, there were very little startups in India, and today we have 28 design startups. If you recently saw the ISRO rocket launching Navik satellites for the GPS, the chip for the Navik has been designed in India and will soon be in every mobile phone. So when you look at GPS, Google Maps, Apple Maps, it will be powered by an Indian chip in the future. In packaging, we are soon going to announce 2 packaging units, both foreign companies who are going to set up wafer packaging, device packaging units. And down the road, so I don't want to predict anything, but very soon we will also have a 40 nanometer silicon fab being manufactured, being built in India in Dholera, Gujarat. So I think before you graduate, you're the first year. Before you graduate, there will be a fab, there will be packaging, and India would have become a semiconductor nation. So maybe that's an area that you should look for either a position in or a job in or entrepreneurship in.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Advait from the Computer Science Department. I would like to ask you a question regarding the IIT graduates from our country. Coaching classes, they promise huge salary packages for IIT aspirants. However, if we'll take 100 IIT aspirants, only 10 of these graduates ever achieve these set packages. The remaining students are stuck with below average or average packages in unrelated fields. If this is the case in the top tier of institutions of our country, what is the situation in the top tier 2 and tier 3?
No, I think I didn't quite fully understand your question, but I think what you are saying is IITs are the only ones who produce good engineers. Is that what you're saying? By the way, I am not an IIT product. And I don't think, and Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, is not an IIT product. I have visited, like I said, 55 colleges in my 2 years as a minister. I have not visited any IIT, and I don't see any difference between the aspirations and the capabilities of an engineer from any college in India versus any other college in India. Yes, it is possible that IIT gives you a certain exposure in certain subjects that may not be there in all colleges, but that is a gap that you can easily build for yourself through skilling, through digital knowledge, etc., etc. Finally, there is no difference between student A or student B. The only difference is your ambition. If you have a less of an ambition than the IIT student, then you will do less well. But if you have an ambition that is more than the IIT student, you will do better. As simple as that. So I don't think you should worry about what the college is. You are here. This is a wonderful college with wonderful teachers and wonderful students. If your ambition is to do well, you will do well. But if your ambition is to take videos and put it on reels and that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, then of course you will have a different outcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Aaron from Computer Science Department. I have a question for you. So what measures are being taken by the government of India to promote the use of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, and Internet of Things in various sectors to drive innovation and efficiency?
So what we are doing is, we are not taking measures to promote. We are making it easy to make the technology available. So for example, in AI, the Prime Minister has given sanction to create 3 centers of excellence for AI. And each center of excellence, let us say there's a center of excellence in Bangalore. That center of excellence will connect all the colleges and universities in the area that have AI specialty. Now, for example, today we inaugurated an AI lab here. If turns out your college has enough students who are interested in AI, you can become part of that center of excellence ecosystem. So the government's policy or the vision of our Prime Minister is to make it easier and easier for youngsters like you to try out successful, unsuccessful entrepreneurship experiences in these new areas. Before 2014, there was no deep tech or very little deep tech in India. Today, we have a flourishing deep tech ecosystem, many colleges, many universities that are doing very good research in it, and therefore, there is nothing holding you back from getting into that area. A lot of youngsters ask me, but if I finish a 4-year computer science degree, I get a job offer from Infosys and TCS to be a programmer, and that gives me X lakhs of rupees. But if I go to microelectronics and I go to a deep tech, I get a lower salary. Should I take this? Should I take that? That is your personal choice. If you want to do something deeply fulfilling, with a lot of deep knowledge in it, deep tech is the way to go. If you want software, I'm not saying software is bad. If you want IT, ITES software, enterprise software planning, that is the direction to go. Maybe you will have more money initially, but certainly this will be more satisfaction and more capability and more value.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Riya and I'm from Computer Science Department. My question for you is, why is India lowest? Why is India known to be one of the lowest skilled workforce country despite being a democratic dividend? What is your comment on that?
You come with some very good questions today. I want to share one fact with you, and then you will understand why we are in this peculiar situation. In 2014, and I use 2014 because that is when our government started, 3 out of every 4 Indians in the workforce, that means 75% of all Indians working, had no skills. That means they had not gone through education, they had not gone through any skilling. And after 65 years of independence, that was our situation. Number 2, 1.9 crore Indians join the workforce every year without skills. This was the situation for many, many years. We have in the last many years made sure skilling is a very top priority. We are making sure skilling is more and more available to more and more people who want it, whether it's reskilling, upskilling, or ab initio skilling. And with the national education policy, skilling is now part of the school education so that nobody ever leaves school. Even if you drop out after 8th standard, or drop out after 10th standard, or drop out after 12th standard, nobody ever leaves school without some skills. So that 1.9 crores per year becomes 0, and that opening balance of 32 crores of unskilled, slowly and steadily over the next few years, we will bring it down as much as possible. But you are absolutely right. Currently, the world today is looking at Indian talent because their countries need people, their countries need talent. India has the young population, youngsters like you, and the challenge is to make sure that you have the skills that, let us say, Japan wants, or you have the skills that Indian industry wants and Indian business wants. And that is why I keep saying, please, along with your degrees, also do skilling. And I have told the principal that we will fully support the college. If you start more and more skilling programs, Government of India will certainly do everything possible, including labs and skilling programs, including financial support.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Sanjana from Computer Science Department. Sir, you have gone through different roles throughout your life. As a defense kid, an engineer, technocrat, entrepreneur, and now that of as a minister. Now my question is, sir, how has your mindset changed over this period of time?
How has my mindset changed?
Yes.
Oh, my mindset hasn't changed at all. I can't think of my mindset changing. I have a simple view on whatever you do, you should do good, you should do well. Whether I was a chip designer at Intel, or I was building a mobile company, or I was an MP, or I'm a minister, I live by the simple philosophy that when you get an opportunity, pursue it fully, pursue it with 100% energy and effort and time, so that you never regret later that, oh, I did not do a better job in what I had an opportunity for. So there's no change in my mindset. Of course, as a minister, my focus is now to make your futures more successful. My future is almost all done. So my mission, in a way, is to make you all very successful, and because you are successful, India can be successful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for the
We'll take one over.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for the thought-provoking and the interesting session. As a token of our love and gratitude on behalf of the MPCT family, His Beatitude, more and more Basilius Cardinal Climis Catholicos will now present a memento to the Honorable Minister. Now, may I invite Dr. Abraham T. Matthew, Principal MPCT, to propose the vote of thanks.
Most respected and benevolent patron and manager of Mar Basilius College of Engineering and Technology, His Beatitude more and more Basilius Cardinal Climis Catholicos Baba Tirumeni, our Chief Guest of the day, Sri Rajiv Chandrashekar, Honorable Union Minister of State, Government of India, our special invitee, Mr. Sumit Verma of Intel India Corporation, our beloved Bursar Father John Varghese, Assistant Bursar Father Thomas Mugalamburtha, respected Vice Principal Dr. S. Vishwanatha Rao, Deans, Heads of the various departments, IQAC Coordinator, Controller of Examinations, Senior Officers and Heads of Sections, members of the faculty and staff, our dear students, guests, invitees, press, media, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good evening to all. It's my pleasant privilege to propose the vote of thanks to this august audience. Today we are immensely honored by the venerable presence of our Union Home Minister of State, Sri Rajiv Chandrashekar, of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship of Government of India. As an institution of higher education, all these portfolios are of very great significance to us. So today we are extremely privileged and honored by the kind visit of our Honorable Minister. We were keenly listening to his thoughtful presentations. We would all agree that we have seen an erudite scholar, an innovator, an engineer, and a stupendous politician, and an excellent leader in our chief guest, who has the far-sighted vision and a clear roadmap for young India, digital India. Respected sir, we are richly benefited from your thoughtful presentation, illuminating talk, and the fruitful interaction with our students. On behalf of our beloved patron, His Beatitude, more and more Basilius Cardinal Climis Catholicos, and on behalf of our college, and also on behalf of all present here, we thank you from our bottom of our heart for having accepted our invitation and spend this day with us. Thank you, sir, very much. We are blessed by the benedictory presence of our beloved patron, who is always very keen about the college. His Beatitude has arranged a visit of Honorable Minister to our college today. We are always deeply indebted to His Beatitude for the visionary leadership and the timely guidance. I propose to thank His Beatitude for the benedictory presence and the blessings. Thanks, Your Beatitude. We are indeed glad to receive our guest, Mr. Sumit Verma, Strategy Head, Intel India Corporation, on this occasion of dedication of our AI IoT data-centric lab to the nation. I propose to thank Mr. Sumit Verma for his graceful presence. Thank you, Mr. Verma. We earnestly look forward to getting more intense support from Intel Corporation to build a strong skill development program at our college. We are grateful to our alumni, Mr. Sanju Matthew, for facilitating the linkage with Intel Unnati program. Under this scheme, in the first phase, college has spent more than 5 million rupees to set up the data-centric lab, which has been inaugurated by the Honorable Minister today. We dedicate the facility to the noble cause of empowerment through education. We look forward to developing this lab as a center of excellence in AI and IoT at our college in the coming years, to cater to the needs of skilling more than 200 students every year in AI, IoT and related technologies, and also to take up the R&D works. We propose to thank all officials of the state and central government, the staff of Honorable Minister and the Police Department for the grand support in arranging this meeting of the Honorable Minister in a grand manner. We are grateful to the press and media for the coverage of the event. To cut it short, I conclude by placing on record our sincere gratitude to our Bursar Father John Varghese, Assistant Bursar Father Thomas Mugalambrata, Vice Principal, Deans, HODs, senior functionaries, faculty, staff and all our students for joining together to make this meeting a grand success. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thus, we have come to an end of today's program. All of you kindly stand up for the national anthem.
मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
The program has come to a close. Thank you.